Okay, welcome to those who've joined us. It's the first time I'm doing directly to Facebook. So we're trying to get the settings right. I'm waiting for my guest and also waiting for other people to join us. So we've tested this on Sunday. It was working fine. So the mistake I did was that today, then I tried to do it from my laptop, and then my laptop is doing other things. It's showing me a lot of things that I've got no idea what they are. So I'm going back to my phone, just waiting for Lungiswa to join us. And yeah, there, got it. Hi. Oh, wow. Yeah, this can be very exciting. Facebook and me and technology. Yeah. But you can
Murphy's Law. It happens.
Yeah. No, the thing is, when you try to be a genius, you test something using something else, and then when the time comes, then you change to your laptop, and then now you've got more options to make, and I couldn't decide which option is for which.
Wow, I'm happy to finally be visible. Hi to you and everyone who is able to join. Well, I mean, it's good to see you again, Dr. J, so soon.
Lovely.
I saw you a
Nice
couple
seeing
of
you
hours
too.
ago.
Yeah. So, sorry, what we're gonna do? We're going to wait a few minutes. I know I've kind of like disorganized people because I went live on the event itself, but then that's when it gave me all sorts of options that I couldn't choose from. So I've moved back to my phone. So we'll just give people some time to join us. Let me see if I can share the link in terms of where we are now.
Sure, no problem. But I think you did say in the event itself that we must come over to the business page, the Dr. J Biz page. So hopefully they'll be able to come through. Well, I see there's 4 of us, so at least 2 other people are joining in.
So that means people are coming, but let's give them some time.
Sure.
Are you using your phone as well, ne?
Yes, because I think laptops are moody sometimes. So I don't want to be talking and then suddenly my video starts to malfunction.
Yeah, I know.
Like that.
I'm just sharing the links to the groups that I know I shared with the one to join so that they can find us. Those who want can do, what do they call this thing? A watch party. Yeah. They can do watch party. We are live. Join us. Yeah. I'm from the before technology, so I speak as I type.
Oh, don't be so hard on yourself. It's called multitasking.
Yeah, I've been spoiled by Siho, yeah? Because he's always doing this. So today he has a meeting, so he will join us. But I said to him, no, I can manage.
Oh, now you can show him that he's taught you well.
Because he's the one who shares all the links to the different groups and all that. And then it's like, yeah. So you get spoiled and then you get used to that. And yeah. But we are fine. We will manage. Especially if we can keep up with the questions, then great. Because that's what tends to run with you. Yeah. So.
We will.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Let's see who we
are. Very happy and excited to be part of the first.
Yes, our first 2020. Yeah, our first 2021. We did a few last year, but this is the first one this year. I see Lindy has joined us. Welcome, Lindy. I see Dr. P as well. I see Dimakatso. Welcome. We'll be starting soon. We're just trying to allow more people to join us. There's 7 of us in there. I know time is important. I don't know whether we should just hit or people will join as we go, because we also need to respect the time of those who came in on time.
Yeah. Now, I think let's begin for the sake of those that are on time, since we were a little bit delayed. But I mean, those who join in can always catch the recording of parts that they might have missed, I guess.
Okay, cool. So yeah, welcome everybody. We've got Lungiswa today, who's our brand specialist. So we've been through, Dr. J has been through a branding or rebranding journey. And then I met this wonderful woman who told me that she can make my brand look wow. I did not believe her. I was a bit skeptical because everybody will promise you that they will brand look wow, and then you find out down the line after you have paid so much money that your brand doesn't look wow. But she came in and she's been through the journey with Dr. J Business Support, and she has helped me through to rebrand and try to portray and communicate the message that we try to communicate as Dr. J Support, so that there's no mismatch between what we are trying to do and what we are saying out there. So welcome, Lungiswa. What I will do, okay, most of people I'll assume, the ones that I see, that I hear already, they know me. So this is Dr. J. And my full name is Dabulile, but popularly known as Dr. J. So welcome, Lungiswa. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and then introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you, Dr. J. Thank you for having me. I think, as Dr. J has already shared, so I connected with her towards the end of last year, November, December. She was looking to kind of do a refresh on her brand. And my name is Lungiswa, as she's already said. You can call me Lou. That's kind of easier for most people. I work as a brand consultant, but really what that means is that I'm a brand thinker. Everything around brands and branding is what I love. Working with clients and supporting them, especially change maker brands. So people that are designing solutions and providing products and services that are about empowering others, that are about making life easier for others and making the world better for all of us at the end of the day. So I support those clients around brand strategy, brand design, growing brands, reaching more people, building visibility, amplifying impact. And that's really been my journey with Dr. J so far. Mostly, I think, from a strategic point of view, but now we are sort of on the cusp of doing more of the design and the visual elements of the brand. So thank you for having me. And for those who are kind of curious a little bit more about what I do, you can also head over to Border Frontier, the business page, after our session. And I'm happy to engage even more after that from there. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome. So I see, Sis Linda, I see you say you've got load shedding. I hope your battery is able to carry you through. Sorry about that. But yeah, let's hope your battery carries you through. So we're going to get started then with our conversation. But basically, really, the conversation is about branding, is about marketing. We had one session last year where we spoke a lot about marketing and a little bit about branding, and there was a lot of interest in terms of people wanting to understand a bit more on branding and all that. And we thought, let's have another session. And then because also of the journey that I embarked on branding, then I thought it would be a good idea also to share my experience in terms of how have I experienced the journey that I've walked with our brand specialists there. So let's start by really first kind of like defining what is branding. So when people talk, you hear people talk about a brand, they talk about a logo, they talk about a website, they talk about marketing, they talk about advertising, and it's kind of like all in one basket. Differentiate it for us. What distinguishes branding from marketing, advertising, and where really does it fall in?
Well, let me say, I think branding is kind of both an art and a science. So if we had to look at it as a science, um, the technical definition of it is around differentiating yourself. So a brand really can be a name, it can be an idea, it can be a symbol, it can be a tangible product, or it can actually be a combination of all of those things. But the idea with it is that it's something that signifies or distinguishes you and sets you apart from other people who are maybe doing something similar or producing a similar product or designing a similar service. It's a way for you to stand out in a competitive landscape. But really, the purpose of it at heart is about giving meaning, and it's about defining your identity in a way that connects you to people. But I think the philosophy of it really is, it comes down to about how you show people who you are, what you're about, and why it matters. I just finished a book about a week ago. I'm getting back to the habit of reading a book a week.
Okay.
It's kind of on a go slow, but I'm getting there. But the book I just finished was Start With Your Why. It's by an author called Simon Sinek. It took me a while actually to finish that book, because I think we underscore the importance of really being clear about your why. And something that he said in the book, which really stuck with me, he says, people don't buy what you do, what you offer, what you sell. They really buy into why you do it. And branding is kind of that bridge that helps people connect what you do, what you're about, who you are, to why you do it. Because once they buy into that, it's already done the heavy lifting. Now you're just going to facilitate the transactional elements of the business. So I think branding really comes down to, it's all of those efforts working together. It's a collective effort, tapping into the different bouquets of marketing, advertising, design, research, even communications, all of that working together to create a pathway so that people connect to what you're offering, and it's actually delivering the value that you intend to serve them with. I don't know if that makes sense, but one of my favorite designers, Debbie Millman, she said that the highest benefit of branding is about how you unite people behind a shared ideal, how you communicate that. So whether it's a fashion label, whether it's a social justice movement, but the idea is that a brand is about bringing people together, people who come together as a community of individuals that love the same idea, that are invested in the same things, that enjoy being in the same experiences in the same spaces. That's a brand. It's not just the bells and the whistles and the logos and the visuals and the websites and all the technical things that you see. It's so much more working behind the scenes.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a mouthful. Especially that we're talking to, which I know anyone can attend, can join the session, but the way we marketed the event out there, it was more about tips for SMMEs, because that's the market that I mostly do my business within. And I try to help wherever I can to try to move them from one point to the next. It will be interesting to hear. So on the chat, if people can say what do they think branding is, when they hear branding, what comes to their mind, and how do they define it, and what does it say to them really? What is it when they hear branding? What does it mean to them? So it will be interesting to see in the chat. Let me see if anyone has said anything there. Okay. Yeah, so just let us know. I can see all the comments coming in there. Oh wow. Okay, I'll read them. I don't want to go in there because then they are charming us. We are getting. So tell us really, what does branding mean for you or for your business? When you hear branding, if you can put it out there on the chats, then we'll look at that. So you're gonna help me, Lungiswa. I told you that I'm not very good with multitasking. So if you pick up any
we're in this together.
yeah, so if you pick up any interesting questions there, then you can tell me. So for us, a small business, what do you think is the value of branding? Why should small business, there's no budget, you know, as a small business, you don't have money to spend on a lot of things. If a small business owner comes to you and say, I want to do branding, but I don't have a budget, what will you say to that SMME owner? What will be the value, and why will they have a budget if they should have a budget for it?
I think what I always like to remind clients of, no matter whether it's startup, scale up, or kind of really successful, established businesses or clients, is that you want to give the best quality to your clients, because your brand exists solely for the people that it serves. And if they are not getting value, then you're not really in business. Business is about people, right? But I think the question of value, before it comes down to, budget, and I think it comes down to what really matters to you. So you have to ask yourself, as a small business, what benefits are you not enjoying in comparison to other competitors or other players in your space? What benefits are you not enjoying because you've decided not to invest in building a stronger brand? And you have to align, I guess, your decision to that. So maybe it's not, what is the value of branding, but what's the best that can happen? What do you stand to gain if you invest in building a stronger brand? And a brand ultimately really is a business asset, because it's something that's there to help you, yes, generate leads and hopefully convert those into actual sales. So it's got that financial component to it, in that it's about adding value, bottom line. But also a brand is about your visibility, because visibility is also about credibility. Next to visibility is credibility. How do your clients know who you are when they don't see what you're all about? How do they begin to put trust in you when they don't see what it is you're really offering? So in addition to really sort of, building and investing in a brand to build your visibility, when that visibility grows, it puts you in a position to reach more people. Reaching more people is about scaling that impact. So let's say, for example, you have got a fantastic product that will serve the most underprivileged, or let's say a product or a service that's addressing a really, really serious challenge in our community, in our country, something that the government hasn't been able to figure out. If you're not putting it out there, nobody sees that there is an answer for this problem that we've been dealing with. So you need to be able to put yourself out there. Building visibility is about adding credibility. If you're credible, your clients are more likely to at least take a chance on you. They might actually stick around long enough to find out what is it that you're all about. But I also think it comes down to the competitive landscape. So investing in building a stronger brand, it's not just about you competing with, your competitors. But you must remember that if you want to grow, it means you're going to get other people on board your movement, on board your company, on board your product. So, what is it that's going to help you draw great talent, people that are really going to actually help you grow at the end of the day? So, what would be the pull factor or the value proposition, the draw card basically that says, I'm not just going to do this because are you really going to build an empire on your own? No. You want to go fast? Yeah, sure, you'll go alone, but you want to go far. You know, that proverb says we go together. So, how do you bring other people on board? Great talent that's going to help you actually do more and do better for more people in better ways. So, if you are a small business, don't think of yourself small. Don't sell yourself short. If you're a small business, you do deserve to be getting big business quality and to be giving big business quality. So I would say it's important to really consider, how do you want to invest in building a stronger brand? So before you take that conversation or that consideration and tie it to rands and cents or dollar signs, depending on who is on the conversation with us. But
Yeah.
think about the value that you bring.
Okay, that's interesting that you say that always treat yourself like a big business, because most of the time, what you find as a small business, we always manage or treat our businesses as if we're going to be small for life. I know there are people who make an intentional decision that I want to stay small, but it happens that you can change your mind. That's why they always say, run your business as if you are going to be the big, whoever, the big branding specialist or the big consulting firm or whatever in 5 years or 10 years come. Because when that time comes, it becomes now a more of a difficult job if you didn't treat yourself as that important from the beginning, because now you have to go do the catch up back then now to professionalize your business. But if you start professionalizing, as small as your business is, treat it and work with it as professional as you can, so that tomorrow when you become the big thing ever, then you have already done some of the groundwork, and then it becomes easy to move and accelerate to the next level. And it goes back not only on just branding, also like one of the biggest thing is managing your finances. That small businesses will manage their finances as if it's their own personal money. And then later they decide to go. They want to go get funding and everything. There's no compliance of anything. Everything is a mess, and it becomes harder there. So I was just emphasizing on what you were saying, to say treat yourself professional and as if you are the big thing ever, as is now.
But I think, Dr. J, also, even if you don't have ambitions necessarily to build a brand or a business that is going to, be like a giant multinational one day, if your ambitions really are about staying small or even being a solopreneur, still investing in your brand is important. And the reason why I say that, so if you look at, the trends and the way that, work and the meaning of work is changing, it's going to play out in the same way, I think, on this continent as it is in, the Americas or even Europe. There are more and more and more people who are professionals, who are happy to actually contract as freelancers, as independent consultants. And at some stage, almost, I think, half the workforce might be people who stand alone as a company of one. So in a sea of solopreneurs, you are still a company of one. Think of yourself still as a company and not just as, I'm going wherever the wind takes me. It's
Yeah.
not going to help you land the right clients. It's not going to help you retain the right clients. So investing in
Yeah.
a brand, big or small, whether you have ambitions to grow massively big,
Yeah.
small as you are, be about big business quality.
That's true. That's true. Because they normally say you teach people how to treat you, and I think it goes same story with business. You treat potential clients how to take you. By the way you present yourself and the way you treat your business. So if you think I'm just a small little somebody there, and that's how your potential clients are also going to take you. The minute you change that yourself, also the people that you're marketing to or you talk to also start treating you, that way. Let's see the comments before we get overwhelmed. I see Dr. P saying she's looking forward then to understand how to build the brand for her business, the logos, the colors, and all that. That's what she thinks branding is about.
I agree with Sepo. It's about getting very clear on your identity. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, which gives credibility. That's true. That's true. Because if you are not clear, we are all over, then the credibility as well becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dora says branding for me, or what did I press now? Branding for me is about the logo, the colors, the
look and the feel of the business. I agree.
Yes.
It's a part of it. You know why it's a part of it. We talk about brands almost in a way that we personify them. So you will remember even with our initial brand thinking sessions, we talk about things like essence and purpose and values and, how are you mission driven? What is it that you envision? And we talk about those things that are really, in essence, it's about the heart of Dr. Jabez, but you can't really put a look and a feel or package yourself in a way that doesn't align with who you are at your core, right? So yes, I agree. The logo, the colors, the feel of the business, all of those things are important. And there's actually even really a science behind that. So there's a reason why we choose specific colors. There's a reason why we design things in certain ways, whether it's a text logo or something a bit more abstract. So you have to kind of put some thinking into it. I'm not saying this is a process that has to be long and drawn out over months, because hey, at the end of the day, you want to get down to the business of what you're about. But that look and feel, it's how you dress up, how you want to show up in the world, so that you attract the right tribe of people that you want to be part of this circle and this community that you are building around this ideal that you have. So yeah, I totally agree. I definitely agree. Style is an important part of it.
Yep. And also another thing that also, as you talk about who you attract, it's funny that the minute you change how you view yourself, the minute you change, if I may use levels, the minute in terms of quality, the minute you put your level higher, people start to that you start attracting, also you attract that level. And also the paying also what you can charge for your services depend on how you brand yourself. If I brand myself as this, I know people like to use the word hustling in a good way, but I'm gonna use it in a way that means really hustling, that you can't make it, it's just, people start treating you like that. The minute you come and say my rate per hour is 5,000, but you're treating yourself like somebody who's not sure what is happening, no one will want to pay that. But the minute you brand yourself to be that premium brand, when you come and say my rate per hour is 5,000, is a total different story, because you will have attracted those people who can afford to pay 5,000. But when you don't brand, you are, and your brand looks like you ask the child to do your stuff, and then now you go and try to charge people 5,000. It will never work. So sometimes the investment, I know it's not cheap to get quality people to do these things, but the investment you get your return. If you invest 10 cents for your brand, you will attract the 10 cent kind of clients, and then that's what you're going to get. And that's what we need to orientate ourselves around, to say input, output, high risk, higher returns. Exactly. If my risk in branding is 10 cent, what return do I expect? Maybe let's ask also what have you invested in your branding? Did you feel it's a waste of money? Did you feel it's worth the risk? Putting, obviously not recklessly so, but putting substantial investment to make sure that you improve your brand. So let's hear what others are saying. And is my next question was going to say, is it necessary for SMMEs to brand? I think you've touched a bit on that, but if you can.
I think you also touched a bit on that just a few minutes ago. You were saying if you didn't invest time and resources, at least in laying the foundational elements, kind of building the foundation, then by the time you get to the level where you're now actually attracting somebody who is serious about doing business with you, it might cost you that opportunity to have to go back and do all of that work just so you can look like the story that you're selling. So there's in terms of, it's not just around your brand visibility, correlating or at least informing and building your credibility, but there's a reputational risk as well, right? Because yes, you might have a wonderful brand, you might be visible, you might be charging a premium, but you still have to deliver at the end of the day. So I think the necessity of whether an SMME needs to do branding and how much, that's kind of a relative thing. And I think also people assume that brand building has to be this outrageously expensive exercise. You see the value of it over time, but how much you invest also, I think, changes as you go from level to level. You were talking levels. So if I'm at the level where I'm aiming to attract, I don't know, a local school, it's different. If I'm at the level where I'm aiming to attract an Ivy League institution, Yale, Harvard, Cambridge, whatever, it's also at a different level. So I don't think it's so much about, is it necessary? It definitely is necessary, because you have to consider, what is the opportunity cost? What will it cost you to lose an opportunity that you could have gained had you taken the time to invest a little bit? So I think if you're an entrepreneur, a startup, a corporate, an NGO, if you're any entity really, that means you've got an idea or a service or a product, you are a brand. So in the same way that you might intentionally invest in building a brand, you have a brand, whether you are intentionally building it or not. People will find it or people will not find it. So it's almost like a bit of a catch-22. You get to decide whether you are actively investing it, intentionally building it, or if you're just going to be sort of sitting on the fence about it and hoping for the wind not to, sweep you off. But it's an opportunity cost. You have to think about, what can I potentially lose if I don't invest? And that's why you have to tie it back to the strategic element. So why did you begin the business in the beginning? What was your objective? What is it that you wish to achieve down the line? Are the things that you are doing now serving the vision and the purpose that you are running with and hoping to see down the line? So yeah, it's definitely necessary to invest, whether you want to start with a logo or just a corporate ID package, or whether you want to do a full-fledged, website with e-commerce and all of those things. That changes because every business has got stages. But branding is about what are we doing at every stage of the business that makes sense, that's bringing us into alignment, and that's positioning us to grow. That's how I see it. What do the others think?
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because also, as you say, it's either you are intentional about it, or if you are not intentional, people will still get the brand out there. But the tricky or the risk, if you are not intentional about how you want your brand to look, is that it might end up being what you don't want it to be, because we are not intentional and putting it out there that I want Dr. J business to be this brand that talks to this kind of clients.
Yeah.
So it by itself decides to kind of like come up with its own identity and all that, because you are not intentionally putting out there what you want to be out there. So that is important. So some people normally say no decision is still a decision, because
exactly
something is still going out there, but then is for you to decide what is going to go out there and what is this value proposition that I want to communicate out there. So guys, we're waiting for your questions. I finally figured out my laptop, so now I'm learning to multitask. So I finally figured out to have the chat on my laptop so I can properly see. So you can post your questions there. We'll attend to them. So if you've got any question, just put it there. Anything about branding, marketing, put it there, and Lungiswa and myself, we will try to answer that. Okay.
And if I don't have an answer, I promise I will point you in the right direction.
Perfecto. Okay, so let's see. So far we've got just 3 active people, guys. I see we've got more than 3 people out there. What are you thinking? Share your thoughts. How is your brand? What have you done when you decided to brand, or have you branded? Have you decided to brand your business? Let's hear. Anyone who has gone through the journey of branding, have you branded? What did you do? Did you find it was worth it, or was it not worth the effort? The other question I had was, can you effectively market your business without a brand, or without going through the branding journey?
I would say no, because like you said earlier, Dr. J, if the brand is about being very clear on what your strategy is, what your intent is. How do you go out into the world and say a bunch of stuff if you don't have a very clear idea about what is the story that you want to get out there? So branding is you know what, you might actually go out and market your business, but you can kind of think of it as here's the analogy. You have a troop of soldiers, right, on a cliff somewhere, and they are just going to be launching hundreds and thousands of arrows towards an enemy, hoping, or maybe let me not say an enemy, a target, hoping that arrow is gonna land on something. That was like an old way of waging war. Versus if you are an archer standing in front of a target, you see it clearly, you are very clear about where you are positioned. So when you aim, you have a much better chance of actually hitting the target, because you're not far off, you're not removed in terms of your thinking. You have a much better view of what it is you're trying to target, what it is you're aiming at. So I think if you don't invest in branding, you might market your business, but it might not really be effective. It probably won't be, because you'll be investing your energies and your efforts into a bunch of tactics that really don't talk to each other. Branding is about everything working together. It's about clarity and alignment. So branding is a thing. Are you clear on who you are? And are you aligned with what you're about? And if those things are talking to each other, it's almost like a GPS coordinate. You know how GPS coordinates are? It's that thing of longitude and latitude. So if those things are clear for you, you are going to be able to stick on the road, not make unnecessary deviations, not get lost easily. And even if you do, you'll still find your way back because you were clear about where is it that you're going, who is it that you want to reach. And the more you work those coordinates, the more you work that sense of clarity and alignment, the clearer your path becomes, the clearer you see where you're going. If you are in effect getting the results that you want, if the right people are actually connecting with what you're offering, and where clarity flows, alignment is there to guide. It's much more effective if you are invested in branding than if you just, throw out things, sucking things out of the air, out of your thumb. It's not going to help. It's going to tire you out. It's going to wear you out. You're going to feel demoralized. It's going to erode what could essentially and potentially be a great brand. It's going to kill your soul. So get back to the why and get aligned and get clear. And when you do that, then marketing, advertising, communications, research, events, all of these things make sense because they are talking to one thing and they are talking to each other consistently. Branding is it's that scarlet thread. It's that thread that runs through everything to make sure we are all on the same page, we are all going the same direction, and nobody is getting lost. And if you get lost, you know how to find your way back. So I think, if you want to be really effective in marketing your business, get very clear on what your brand is.
Okay. Interesting. You remind me of a story of, they call it spray and pray. When you haven't decided and we are not sure what's the target, you're not sure what you want to get back, you are not sure as to even when you have arrived or you have hit the target, you don't know. So you just pray, you pray, and then, and just hope for a miracle. And most of a miracle doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah. I see we've got some questions. Dr. P says, are there different branding packages at every stage of the business? Is the branding process staggered approach or waterfall kind of approach?
Well, I'm going to speak now for my part. As you would know, Dr. J, since you and I started our journey together last year. So it really depends on who you're working with. And that's why I think I shared, that PDF around, clarity checkpoints, what it is you need to be clear on before you commit to what service provider or what consultant or what creative is going to work with you on your brand. But for my part, in terms of Border Frontier, I'm always looking at the brand not just as the business asset itself, but at what it will do from an impact and an innovation point of view. So yes, there has to be a sense of phasing out deliverables because you can get very clear in terms of what your brand is about. You can begin to define it, build that identity, but building the brand making is an ongoing, continuous process. So of course, there are going to be different stages, and for every stage, for every level, there are different demands, there are different needs, and those have to be tailored to keep pace with how the business, with how the idea is evolving. So yeah, definitely, they should be. You can't. Well, I certainly don't expect my clients to do everything in one go. That will overload you. It will be too much. You have to break it down in chunks. It's the saying where they say, how do you eat an elephant? You do it piece by piece. You bite it off piece by piece. You're not gonna swallow the whole thing all at once.
Yeah.
So look out for starter packages. But the thing is, when it comes to, I think I know what she's asking when she says all the different packages. Those
Yeah.
packages tend to come in at the point where you are now looking at design and digital marketing and that type of thing. Those packages tend to come in at that point. But I really want to stress, you don't want to rush to do creative and marketing and all of those wonderful things if you haven't taken the time to be very clear from a strategic point of view what it is you are about. So yes, you get to, let's say, design logo packages that are there, corporate identity packages that are there. So those things get broken down, but don't invest in spending a lot of money on something beautiful and pretty, only to find down the line it actually doesn't match up with who and what you're about. So yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, because it's not about pretty designs and pretty pictures. It's about the message really that you want to get out there. So the message aligned with the pretty designs, obviously don't go with ugly stuff, but the message aligned with the pretty designs and all that helps. And one of the things that maybe I can share from my own experience of this journey, that I was really skeptical at the beginning to say, you know, when you teach entrepreneurship, you think sometimes, you know what, but then I was like, you know what, sometimes also when we are always teaching other people things, it helps sometimes to have somebody facilitate you, because I'm always facilitating, helping other people to achieve certain things for their business. And I enjoyed that process of sitting down, having somebody facilitate the process for me and help me to think through things. And at the end of the day, by the time we decided to do the pretty designs and all that, the message was intact. So the stages, I think, really are important, because you jump to do a website, and then the website talks about everything else except the key value proposition message that you want to communicate. And later you're going to take it down. So it's important that step by step, and that's what I found very beneficial for my business when I started this journey, that I sat down, went through the process of thinking through everything that I thought was my message and my value proposition, refined it into a pretty story. And then when we decided that now we're going for the website and all that, the story was already intact. So I'll share, I think it is on your website, the PDF that people can check and see the different things that you can do.
Download it off the website. Yeah, they'll be able to download it off the website. And I think that's something that's, you know, just when you sort of initially start thinking about, you know, either building your brand, designing your brand, refreshing your brand, getting very clear on, am I aligned? What am I prepared to do? What do I need to have in place to actually start that? And you know, it's really different for everybody, because some people are not bootstrapping their businesses. Some people are having the benefit of investors. So the pace at which you'll go, it's relative. So I think also, I'm going to say something naughty now, but we are all adults, right? So
yeah.
I read an article, it was, I think, about a month or so ago. It was around brand thinking. But just in the opening line, the guy who wrote the article said, you know, branding is like teenage sex. Everybody's doing it and they all think they are doing it right, but you never really know, you know?
Yeah.
So branding has to be something that feels like you own it. You don't have to do it exactly to the T, like Dr. J or like Blue or like whoever. It has to be something that feels comfortable for your own skin. It's got to be something that's custom made for what your business and what your idea. So sometimes I'm really quite happy to say let's just do it completely unlike anything anybody's ever done. Do you have to do it exactly like that? No, you don't. So I think it's you have to be open to the fact that if it's your brand, you get to do it your way. Yes, there are lessons to learn from how
Yeah.
others have done it, how they've succeeded and how they've even failed, but it's still your thing. It's still your baby. So that's why I stress, and which is why I'm so glad that from the beginning you are happy to devote a sufficient amount of time, especially around brand thinking and talking to value proposition and strategic intent and all of that. Your brand isn't something that you can delegate to other people.
Mm.
You have to be part of the co-creative process. You have to be a voice that speaks into how this brand is taking shape, how it's forming, how it's evolving. It cannot be something, a creative, a designer can work magic, true, but you have to be the voice and the brains that inform how this thing is developing. So if you think branding or building your brand is something that you can just sort of fill in a form and say, okay, I like this color and I want to do this here, run with it, do it, blow me away, do something wow. You are not gonna even be able to connect to it with
Yeah.
when you see the finished product because you were not
Mm-hmm.
invested in the journey of thinking that through. So it's
Yeah.
not something you delegate. It has to be something that you are a part of constantly. Think of it as, you are the Steve Jobs to your Apple. You have to be part of every little thing that happens that flows out of that brand, that is informed by that brand. You might not manage, the executional elements of everything, but from just guiding the thinking, making the decisions, thinking through changes, transitions, you have to be hands on deck. You
Yeah.
can't just, put your hands up in the air and expect people to wow you. They're gonna disappoint you. So if you are not prepared to actually invest yourself in your brand, you are guaranteed to be disappointed. That is my experience. You are guaranteed to be disappointed. So make
Mm.
it your baby, love it, be a part of it. Yes, open up for other people to be part of your journey to assist you, but be invested. Be invested in anything that has to do with how it grows, what it creates, what it puts out there. Be aware because people at the end of the day don't do business with the logo or with the product. They do business with people. And
Mm.
if that brand isn't something that is a natural outflow of you, of your life, of the spaces that you frequent, the company if it's not making sense, I have to, if if I see your brand or your product and look at you, it must make sense why the two of you are are two sides of the same coin. If I can't see that, it creates what we call cognitive dissonance in the mind. And that's where
Mm.
customers are like, oh, but you say you are, you know,
Yeah.
Miss Doc, you say you are Dr. J, but actually you're not. You don't come across at all. You don't
Mm.
embody or exude at all what your brand stands for. So how do we put our faith in you? How do we trust in you? How do we even think to consider reaching into our pockets and giving you our money? Because something doesn't click, something that isn't right. It's not aligned. And
Yeah.
and and that's the thing about branding. It's about making sure that there's that resonance. So yeah, sorry, I'm
Okay.
talking like rambling, but
Yeah. That's
leveraging
no.
and branding is what
That's
I
great.
love.
It's 7. We'll try to answer all the questions. I know we allocated an hour. We started a little bit late because of a bit of some technical issues. But I will answer all your questions before we wrap up. And we also are going to show you our new website. We've been through this branding journey since November, so don't go away. You want to see our new website first. Cislindi says, where do you start and what do you prioritize as a small business? What are the basics, especially if you are working on a tight budget?
I think I will say number one, as I think you've also experienced, start with your business model canvas. As a small business, you're not really invested in, writing 20-page business plans. You ain't got time for that. Start with your business model canvas. That's really gonna help to start informing, you know, who is your brand trying to reach? What is it trying to offer? If you're clear about who you are, what you do, why it matters, and who should actually pay attention to those three things, you've already started there. And then I think from there, if those things are clear, it's easier to take the steps then to say, okay, I would like a logo. What should that logo, symbolize? What should it say? Should it be my name? Should it be, something a little bit more abstract? You can really go so into so many different levels when it comes to the creative aspect. But I think make sure that you invested in being very clear about your strategic intent. When that is clear, it's easier for you to execute on translating that strategic intent into the visuals and the verbals and all the important things that are there. So your basics, I know, like when you're starting out in a business, once you've got, things like logos, make sure that from a communication point of view, you have very consistent look and feels. So is your business cards, okay, maybe business cards on things a lot of people are doing nowadays, but things like email signatures, do people start to see the same things when they go on your social media accounts? Do you use a letterhead that makes sense for the brand that you have, the business that you have? Your website. Sometimes building your website doesn't mean, because also remember, a website shouldn't just be a website for the sake of having a website. A website nowadays is actually your storefront. It's actually your office. We are now all working from home. Some businesses had to close down with lockdown. So then suddenly that whole transition happened where business and work and everything was happening so much more online. So your website can't just be for the sake of a website. It has to be a place where it feels like if I were to walk into your office, do I see and hear and feel what Dr. J is really about? Yes, it must do all those importantly, things like convert leads into customers, help you get your sales goals. It must help you retain your customers. It must help you leverage your products and all of that. Of course, those things are important, but if you don't have the money and the funds to do a corporate type of website, then it's okay. Start with a one page or something that just tells your story, but does so in a succinct way. It does so in a clever way. It does so in a way that feels authentic to you, and it does so in a way that sets you apart. Then you start building from there. Not everything, Rome wasn't conquered or won in a day. What's that saying? Not everything has to happen,
Yeah.
in a microwave moment. It's okay
Yeah.
to take time. It's okay. So I would say invest in those things. Invest in getting clear about your strategic intent. Invest in getting clear about what is the visual that will represent what your brand is, and then invest in the basic elements that will help you communicate in a way that builds consistency over time. That's a start.
Thank you for that. I hope you answered, Sis Lindy. And Nombulelo says branding was worth it. Everyone wanted to know where the business could be found. It somehow made it more real for people and less abstract. I feel the same way about anyone I wish to do business with. So the first thing I do is Google. So people go and Google. So Google to learn as much as I can. If I like what I'm seeing enough to take the relationship further or not. So branding is key. So Nombulelo is trying to highlight to say she'll check you out as to what kind of a brand do you have there.
Yeah.
Is it at a level where she wants to do business with you at or not? So that is important. And when people Google you, they must find you and they must find your brand looking representative. Some girls says, I have not branded my business, but it's something I'm looking forward to doing in the near future.
Yeah.
Time to invest and be intentional. That's good. Some girls will go for that. And Makazo says, will you kindly elaborate further on branding and marketing? I was of the view that they are aligned, and basically how you advertise your business is how you build your brand. So that's Dimakatso there for you. She wants you to elaborate a bit on branding. So I think maybe she got it in a bit later. I think we spoke a bit about the difference between
No, they are
marketing
definitely aligned.
and
So
brand. Are you still there, Lungiswa?
no, they are definitely aligned. I think marketing is more around the tactical activities that you are putting out there, but branding is what has already informed that. Sorry, I think my signal is a little bit bad. There's a bit of an echo effect.
Okay, I can hear you now. You back? You fine?
Okay. Sorry, I'm losing you there, Dr. J.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I don't know, it's my network or yours. Did you get Dimakazo's question?
No, I didn't get Dimakato's question. Can you repeat that?
Okay, so she was asking about the alignment. She say, will you kindly elaborate further? I think I lost Lungiswa. Maybe it's telling us to finish. It's after 7. Let me see if I can get her back. But yeah, while we wait for Lungiswa to come back, I've shared the link to our new website. So if you can go and check it out, I'm excited about it. I think it looks good. I think the branding is coming out together nicely. It's still work in process, in progress. We'll get there. But yeah, so I've started last year in November with the branding journey. So we did a branding thinking session with Lungiswa around November or so, which took us almost the whole day, and she asked all sorts of questions. Okay, I had more already the business model canvas, but we had to tweak it because we moved from DrJ Business Services, then we moved to Dr. J Business Support. And the objective really was trying to align to our new client base, because the DrJ used to be only just mentoring, but the Dr. J business support now is the client base is a bit broader, because now we've moved into coaching for professionals and executives. We still continue with mentoring for entrepreneurs, and depending on the level of the business, we also do coaching for entrepreneurs. So we've really changed the face of the business altogether. So just check our website and give us feedback. That will be nice. Give us feedback, whatever is working or whatever is not working, and then let us know. And let us know whether it talks to you as our potential client. And then we included also postgrad support. So there's a lot of things that are there, and women support and all that. So check our website. Let us know if it's working or not, and then give us feedback if there's some things that are not talking to you, or any links. We've tested it, but if there's any links that are not working, so just check it out. Okay, so I see Lungiswa is back. Our last question before we wrap up. Dimakatso was asking, will you kindly elaborate further on branding and marketing? I was of the view that they are aligned, and basically how you advertise your business is how you build your brand.
Yes, they are aligned. So think of branding as sort of the umbrella, and marketing, advertising, communications, research as all of those efforts, or all of those pillars underneath that umbrella. All of those things work together to build the brand. But branding essentially gets very clear on your core, your purpose, or your actual value proposition. It gives you clarity around your target audiences. It gives you clarity around the interaction points. Where do you want to show up? Where do you want to be visible? Who do you want to attract? What kind of platforms do you want to use? What kind of technology do you want to use? So branding is a strategic thinking, really. And then marketing takes that and says, okay, now we know where we want to show up, what we're offering, what platforms we're using, how we want to package, what message we want to share, who we want to talk to. Marketing says, now we plug in to those channels to take all of this and make it make sense to the people that we want to reach. So marketing is around the tactical aspects of, getting people at the right place at the right time with the right solution. But branding is where you actually figure out who are those people, when is the best time, what is the solution that you need to be putting out there. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes sense.
Okay, so I hope that answers you, Dimakatso. But also what we'll do, I think, Lungiswa, you can maybe type in your website, so that those who want to go and download the PDF, it just gives you an overview of branding and the different things you need to be thinking about on branding. You can go on to our Border Frontier website and download it there. And then one of the things that we're going to do as well afterwards, if you feel you want to spend some time and doing some kind of like thinking around your branding, and you need assistance or you need some facilitation just to think through, or just to decide whether do you want to embark on branding now and what stage of phase of branding you want to embark on, just send us the message. You can put it on the chat or you can email to me, info@drjbs.co.za. And then if we've got enough people wanting to do that, we'll organize a Zoom interactive kind of a session when we can go through it and help you think through the process. But if we don't have enough people to make it a group kind of thinking session, then we'll contact you as individuals then to help you through that process. The website, I saw normally you're asking about the website, is www.drjbs.co.za. Biz as in B-I-Z. That's our new website. Check it out and give us feedback. Then we'll really appreciate that. Lungiswa, in closing, we've already kept people beyond 7. What are the few tips, if you were to give them 3 important tips on branding?
Wow, I could give a lot. Okay, 3 important tips on branding. Don't rush to creative if you're not clear on strategy. That's number 1. Number 2, try to build a team, or at least, sometimes the trick with branding is that a brand becomes stronger the more consistent it is. So if you're always changing people that are working with you, you lose track of the integrity of the brand. So it's good to identify the people that are going to help you build the brand as early on as possible, and try and stick with them as long as possible. Sometimes it doesn't work out, it's true, but try and stick with them as long as possible. Number 3, don't be afraid of budget. Don't be afraid of starting small, but starting small doesn't mean you're going to stay small. So remember those 3 things. And I think since we are on Facebook, it'll probably be just easier from here on out to just head over to Border Frontier. It's the Facebook business page. From there, you'll be able to actually just WhatsApp me directly. And if you have a question, if you want to maybe schedule a brand discovery session, it's just like a quick 30-minute chat. If you just need a sounding board or somebody to help you think through a decision, we can do that. Or just pop me a WhatsApp via the Facebook page, and I'll also share that that PDF around branding on purpose, so that we don't, flood Dr. J's email too much.
Okay. So Border Frontier, I was trying to put it here as a link. I see it's giving me another guy's face here, so that's not your Border Frontier. Uh,
Let me
so
see if I can do it.
yeah, you can just share then so that they can just click on the link. That will be great. I see also there's already a few people that say they are interested. So we'll get back to you and then organize something where you can do a proper brand thinking, go through a proper brand thinking session, and then you can decide what's the best route for your business then.
Yeah. Okay, let me just share that page quickly before we log off. I don't know why it's not picking it up, but
Yeah, it was giving me another port frontier. But thank you,
no,
everybody.
there we
Before
go.
you leave,
I
thank
got it.
everybody for joining. And we'll stay in touch. Please check our website and give us feedback. Okay, Lungiswa has shared the page there. So you can just click on the link. You'll find the PDF that she was referring to that gives an overview on, it's a free download that gives an overview on branding. And thanks very much for joining us. Sorry we kept you longer than planned, but I hope it was insightful and valuable for you, and you can now go start thinking about your brand before rushing to the logo. Start having some strategy and some meaning around what your logo will mean and all those kind of things. So thank you, keep well, enjoy your evening. And thank you to
Thank you,
Lungiswa
Dr.
for
J.
taking the time to share your intelligence and your experience and all those exciting things with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to everyone who joined. Thank you.
Thank you.